The death of Caylee Anthony. The jury never said she was innocent. They only said the state couldn't prove she was guilty. A 2-year-old vanished. 31 days passed before anyone called the police. And when her remains were finally found, the question wasn't who did this. It was, what can you prove when the truth has already decomposed? A mother who lied, a family that turned on itself, evidence that pointed everywhere and nowhere at all. This case didn't end with justice. It ended with doubt. Tonight, we open the file on Caylee Anthony and ask the question the verdict never answered. What really happened when no one was watching? There are cases that divide a jury, and then there are cases that divide a country. This is one of them. Because for millions of people, the question was never if Caylee Anthony died at the hands of her mother. The question was how the justice system could look at everything that happened and still say, not guilty. This is Unsaid Case Files. I'm Johnny Black, and tonight, we're opening the file on the death of Caylee Marie Anthony. Caylee Marie Anthony was 2 years old. She lived in Orlando, Florida with her mother, Caylee Anthony, and her maternal grandparents, George and Cindy. By all outward appearances, the family was ordinary, fractured in the quiet ways many families are, but not visibly dangerous. Caylee was last seen on June 16, 2008. According to her mother, that morning was routine. Caylee claimed she left her parents' home with Caylee, telling her mother she was dropping her off with a nanny, a woman she called Zenaida Zanny Fernandez Gonzalez. That would be the last explanation anyone would hear for 31 days. On July 15, 2008, Caylee's grandmother Cindy Anthony made a 911 call that would echo across America. She told the dispatcher she had not seen her granddaughter in over a month. She said her daughter's car smelled like someone died, and she said she needed police now. When investigators questioned Caylee Anthony, the stories began to shift. Caylee had been kidnapped. The nanny had taken her. Her name was Zenaida Gonzalez. She lived at an apartment complex nearby. But when police went to that apartment, they found it abandoned, vacant for months. Caylee told officers she worked at Universal Studios. She even led detectives through the building, past security, before finally admitting she didn't work there at all. She hadn't for years. Each lie stacked on top of the last, and still, Caylee was nowhere. 30 days after Caylee vanished, Casey's car was found abandoned and towed. When George Anthony went to retrieve it, both he and the tow yard manager noticed something that stopped them cold. A smell. Strong. Sickening. Unmistakable. They said it smelled like human decomposition. Inside the trunk, police found trash, but no body. Cindy would later retract her statement about the odor. But the moment had already changed the direction of the case. For months, searches turned up nothing. Then, on December 11, 2008, a meter reader named Roy Kronk called police again, after already calling them multiple times earlier in the year. This time, officers searched a wooded area less than a quarter-mile from the Anthony home. Inside a trash bag, partially concealed by brush, they found skeletal remains. A child's remains. Along with them, a blanket, a laundry bag, and duct tape associated with the skull. On December 19th, the remains were confirmed to be Caylee Marie Anthony. The medical examiner ruled her death a homicide by undetermined means. No clear cause, no toxicology results, no definitive timeline. Just silence. Prosecutors would later argue that Caylee Anthony wanted freedom from responsibility, from motherhood, from Caylee. Their theory was chilling. They claimed Caylee searched for chloroform, that she drugged Caylee, that duct tape was placed over her mouth and nose, that Caylee's body was stored in the trunk of Casey's car before being dumped. It was a case built almost entirely on circumstantial evidence. And in 2009, the state of Florida announced it would seek the death penalty. The trial began in May 2011. It would last 6 weeks. The jury would be sequestered, and the nation would watch. Every witness, every argument, every photograph. The prosecution painted Caylee Anthony as a remorseless liar who partied while her daughter lay dead. The defense, led by Jose Baez, told a different story. They claimed Caylee accidentally drowned in the family pool, that George Anthony panicked and helped dispose of the body, that Casey's behavior, her lies, her detachment, were trauma responses shaped by years of abuse. They attacked the science. They attacked the forensic conclusions. They called it fantasy forensics. And they reminded the jury of one thing above all else. If you cannot prove how a child died, you cannot prove who killed her. The jury deliberated for just over 10 hours. On July 5, 2011, the verdict was read. Not guilty of first-degree murder. Not guilty of aggravated manslaughter. Not guilty of child abuse. Guilty only of lying to law enforcement. Outside the courthouse, people screamed. Some cried. Some chanted in rage. Across the country, social media exploded. To many, it felt like justice had failed. To the jury, it was the only verdict the evidence allowed. Caylee Anthony's death remains officially unsolved. No one has ever been convicted of killing her. No one has ever been legally named responsible. And yet, nearly everyone has an opinion. Because this case wasn't just about evidence. It was about expectation, emotion, motherhood, and the unbearable idea that sometimes the truth is something the law cannot reach. Caylee Marie Anthony was 2 years old. She never got to grow up, never got to speak for herself. And in the end, what happened to her remains one of the most haunting, unanswered questions in modern true crime. This has been Unsaid Case Files. Some cases are loud with answers. Others are defined by what was never said.